Good to see you, Miss Verlene McCoy, aka Queen V, and welcome, welcome, welcome. So, if you've been with us, you know we've been focusing our conversation on domestic violence. Again, very serious conversation, something that we have to become more consciously aware of. We need to identify the signs and symptoms and things of that nature. And so that's why we've been kind of digging deep into this conversation. So, yeah, excuse me. So, with that being said, before I go into the details about what we're going to talk about tonight, I want to kind of touch on the admin stuff. So, again, we're still doing our monthly giveaway, right? Closing out the month of October. So, October's gone. So, we're still doing November and December, right? So, to be eligible for this giveaway, make sure that you go to www.totalmindsetshift.com. Again, www.totalmindsetshift.com, right? And then what you want to do is you want to register for the site. It's a site. It is free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Just register to be a member on the site. Once you become a member of the site, go to the main message board. Go to the main message board, and then look at the top post, which is pinned to the top. And you got to open it up, and then you will see a link in there. Go ahead and click on that link and fill out the submission form for that conversation on the month that you want to. You can do every last one of them if you want to. And then for those of you whose questions that we select and inject in this conversation, you will be entered into the drawing. The drawing happens at the end of every month. It will happen by way of random selection. So that way nobody gets special privileges, right? And then, everybody gets their fair share and opportunity to win. Remember, the deadline for the month's conversation will be the last conversation of the month. So again, we are already at the deadline for the month of October. So it's too late for October. Go ahead and dive in for November and December. Now, as we get ready to go into this conversation, I want everybody to understand that everybody's opinion is theirs, right? Nobody's being coerced. Nobody's being, convinced to say anything. Their opinions belong to them, and they do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the community in its entirety, right? So that's the beauty of this conversation. So that being said, now we are going to dive into this conversation. Because we really have something significant to talk about, right? Right. It's this conversation is going to be transformative. You see across several spectrums. You see it on social media. You've probably seen it in your own neighborhoods, and if you're unfortunate, you probably witness it in your own home. See, abuse, whether emotional, physical, or verbal, is a cycle. But here's the thing: cycles can be broken. We all know someone, a family member, a friend, or even a neighbor who's trapped in a vicious cycle, and they might not even realize it, but it's affecting their life and the lives of those around them. Today, we're diving deep into how you can break free from that cycle of abuse through families, friends, and the entire community. Imagine a world where love abounds richly, where people lift each other up as opposed to just tearing them down. And remember, he who conceals his transgressions will not prosper, but he who confesses and forsakes them will find compassion. That comes from Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, right? This is your chance to not just make a change, but to be the change. If you're ready to take this journey with us, hit the subscribe button as we talked about previously, and go ahead and turn on the notification. And for those of you who are truly committed to transformation, join the community on the Total Mindset Shift webpage. And then if you really want to get after making significant transformation changes in your life, go ahead and join the membership program that's located there as well. Now, let's break this cycle together. So as we get started, gentlemen, I want to just drop the initial question in your lap. And that first question is, do you think society is doing enough to educate people about abuse?
This is a serious question. I'm sorry. I'm laughing because no one really knows what abuse really is. Nowadays, abuse is me being straightforward and me being honest. They can take that as abuse because they ain't never heard nobody be straightforward and be honest. Abuse is another one of those buzzwords that I hate. Because honestly, and to keep it real, that's the first thing that most, I hate to say it, and I'm not trying to attack anybody, but abuse is normally the first thing that a woman says a man does to her. And there's so many different forms of abuse. Like I can't say that they are only because abuse nowadays is up to that person's perspective. You understand what I'm saying?
I would say I kind of, in a sense, I do concur uh with with somewhat of what Chris is saying. So my answer would actually be no. I don't think we do. I think we speak enough about it, but I don't think we're actually educating upon it, because I do see and have personally experienced exactly what Chris is talking about, to where just the idea of having an opinion was emotional abuse, right? Um, and
Or the
and
way
that's
that
not
you said
everybody.
it. You know what I'm saying? Or just the way that you said it,
Yeah,
not what you said, just how you said it can be considered abuse.
yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
yeah. So I don't think, and so I think even when there are authentic stories that are out there, we have become desensitized to the language of abuse, if that makes sense. So I don't think people are really being educated or being alerted to its real and evident uh what's the word I'm looking for, or existence in a lot of families and a lot of relationships.
I think I would say no first and foremost, but I think that we straddle the fence between abuse and offense, and we make the water murky so that offense looks like abuse when it's not necessarily abuse. It may be a difference of opinion or a difference of delivery, but abuse, whether it be physical, mental, or any deliberate abuse, is not necessarily taught on when it comes to personal abuse. You know how what abuse looks like, because it's more spoken. I find more talk on the offense or someone offending somebody. If you say it this way, if you say these things, then it's considered abuse when it may not be. It just may be delivery.
So, and the reason why I wanted to start off with this, because I think what we're hearing is a unanimous opinion, right? Because mine is exactly the same. I don't think that we're doing enough, but I do want to kind of talk about what you guys mentioned. Chris, you first mentioned abuse has become a buzzword, and ultimately, what you hear as abuse today is a person's perspective. Um, where do you think, and this just is not just for you, right? Where do you think these perspectives stem from? Like, where does this? Because we got to realize perspective, in essence, is a person's worldview. So, what is the root cause of a person's worldview that says, "Oh, well, my perspective is that you are abusing me," when, in our opinions, and I got to say it that way, in our opinion, it's not abuse.
I couldn't tell you. I would have to dive into the mind of somebody like that. Like I don't, and the only reason I'm saying that is because I have learned that a lot of times a lot of people say things to me. It may not come out the way that they want it to, but a lot of times, man, they're saying it because it's supposed to be said. You understand what I'm saying? They're doing it because it's supposed to be done. That's I don't believe that that is necessarily abuse just because I didn't like how it came to me. It came to me and it needed to come to me. You understand what I'm saying? On the flip side of that, I like I said, man, I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't.
Gotcha.
I don't
What say
know.
it to everybody else?
I think when you take the word, you can take the word and not the, you can take part of the definition and you can overlap it with the other part, whether it be the cruelty towards a person, animal, or whatever, and the misuse. It's like, okay, you're taking two things, and just because I may not have an understanding of how to use or the purpose of said person doesn't necessarily mean I'm being cruel, mean I'm violently doing something to the person. I just don't understand it. So when I use it, it's not used for its actual purpose. So that's abuse of authority, abuse of leadership, or whatever. But it's not abuse as in cruelty, as in I deliberately meant to do harm.
I would say it comes from, and this is me. I just they're gonna have to forgive me or not. I'm cool. I think we've done a poor job of giving uh this generation, and I'm a part of this generation, a true sense of reality. Right? The sun don't shine always. Right? Uh, but we have built these children up and these kids up to believe that their way is the way, that their truth is the truth, that their idea is the best idea, that if it's not right, just get up and walk away. Not everything is going to feel right. You know what I'm saying? Not everything is going to be is going to always feel good. And so when we don't give them a true balance of what reality is, whenever something or someone, especially when you're talking about relational, uh, whenever someone challenges their ability to be right always, it does feel abusive. And here's the thing: to their feelings, it is actually abuse because they were supposed to always be right, and that's not gender specific because you got just as true as you got daddy spoiling these girls and you got mamas that coddle these boys, and that sense of reality does not we don't allow that to kick in to our children. We try to overprotect them and give them over and over sense of confidence of what the world is like. So I think when it comes to us now we have to come in with these self-centered ideas of what relationship and life is, and we come into any type of partnership, and then your opinion is different than mine, and you tell me I don't have the right to be right all the time. That challenges my whole view of the world, and that doesn't feel good.
See, I like where you guys are going, because I'm right there as well. I do believe that there is abuse that's happening. I'm just going to say it as that. I do believe that there are people who abuse authority. I do believe that there are people who use intentional language to tear people down. I do believe that there are people who to attack another person emotionally or use their emotions to manipulate a situation. I believe those things happen. However, there's another side of the story. And the other side of the story also is in reference to the person who was never taught the necessary level of resiliency that they were supposed to young as a child learn as a child. So when they got out into the world, they don't get offended by every little thing that happens. They don't get offended for somebody who actually identifies reality as it is and then articulate their observations to that person. You're offended because that person is being honest with you about their observations. You chose to be offended in that situation, and then later, when the situation did not work out, the situationship, right? When it did not work out, you're going to create the narrative that says that this person was abusive. I think those exist as well. And I'll be honest with you, I was looking at a video earlier today, and I think it was about Tyrese Gibson, and he was articulating that in relation to his ex, because that's the narrative that's the role that she is hiding behind to some degree. So I wanted to dive into that because even though it sounds like a very simplistic question, I think the resounding answer at this particular point is no, we're not doing enough. And so now I want to jump on to, I think it was Roland. No, I'm sorry, not Roland. It was Gaddy who brought up not enough educating, right? We're not educating. I'm gonna kind of throw a curveball, and I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna kind of throw. Come on, man, spit it out. What you got?
No, but see, how can you have enough education on something that's so fluid according to how society perceives it or how that person perceives it? Like, we all just went around here and none of us had like a concrete anything about what abuse actually is. So how can you have enough knowledge about something that's supposedly that's fluid? You understand what I'm saying?
So great point. So that's what I was about to get to. I want to kind of put it back on Gaddy because that was his point of view, right? And I'm gonna start with Gaddy, but Gaddy, and I don't want you to be the only person to have to answer this. Like when it comes down to not enough education, like we're not educating ourselves to the extent of understanding what is a clear cut sign of abuse. I think the one abuse that we really do understand is sexual abuse. I don't think anybody's confused about any of that. So, in your opinion, bro, what type of education do we need, or what does that even look like?
Now that is, I think, it's probably the toughest question you could probably ask all night, because what it looks like sometimes is based upon who's telling the story, who's giving the information, right? Um, but what we need to do is be able to break down, kind of like what we started off with, right? There has to be a conversation about what is just hurt feelings and move that out the way so we can begin to peel back the layers and identify the abuse that is going on, because there is definitely mental abuse going on and emotional abuse. There are people who there's women who abuse their softness to get you to do what you want to do. There's men that abuse their vibrato and their loud and their heavy bass to kind of fear you into submission when they in a conversation. Like there's different things that people that we use and we see it every day. Those are the things we have to identify and separate that from my feelings are hurt because you said something different than what my mama told me was right, or be against what I want to be right. You know what I'm saying? Because and that goes along, because this conversation goes deeper than really 4 weeks. Let's get real, because there's some things just because I grew up here in America that is offensive, but to someone else is just common day conversation because that's their culture. And so is that abuse now because I'm here or because they're here? Or you get what I'm saying? I said so I think those things, those lines have to be drawn. We have to begin to start drawing the lines first so that we can get there. And then once we get there, we need to expose that thing at all costs, no matter who it unrattles, or who it rattles, and who it unveils as an abuser. Just like we do with the sexual abuse, right? You see, with the Weinstein thing comes, and then if you let the conversation go, I'm pretty sure there's more and more people. Oh, there's a place. Hold on, wait. If there's a place, we know that we've heard these people talk about this. You get what I'm saying? So now we can get to identify that this is what the abuse look like here, and these are the gameplay, the players in the game. And the same thing goes with relationships, because when you expose the truth, it exposes who people really are, especially to the person they're abusing. When they hear the truth, then their eyes open up.
I, when I look at it, I think the first step should be understanding. You can't understand abuse until you understand what something should be used for. If you, whether it be a person, place, or thing, whatever it is, if you have a person and say, oh, this is a child, this is a son. So it's abuse to do anything outside of what you would do with a son or as a parent to this young man. So when you do things like it's been going all over the internet where the boy went to school and the teachers put a dress on the boy, that is abuse. care how you twist it, it's abuse because it's a boy, it's a male child, and it's not your child. And you now you're not treating him like a male child. You're treating him like you think it's this gender fluid thing. Everybody don't think like you, so you just can't just because you think a certain way, you can't push that off on other people. So when you understand the thing first, then you can understand what would go against said thing. So then you know what abuse is.
See, I love all those points of views because I'm agreeing. I think, and I've been saying this for quite some time, and I'm gonna continue to say it. I think what we're understanding is that there's a huge identity crisis, right? Most people don't necessarily understand who they are. So on one hand, they don't know if they're being abused or they're assuming that they're being abused. Again, not to say that there's not abuse happening, right? I want to make sure I'm crystal clear when I'm saying that. So because of the identity crisis, like we got to get to the point to where we have a clear understanding of the purpose of a thing. Like I always use my butter knife sample, right? Because the example of the butter knife makes perfect sense. What is a butter knife made for? Spreading butter. That's why it's called a butter knife. But we use it as a crowbar, we use it as a screwdriver, we use it as all these other things. So we use a butter knife as a multi-use tool. What we're abusing the butter knife because then what ends up happening is that you break the tip of, you do all kind of other stuff that comes along with it. And I think that's what we're getting at here when it comes down to the identity crisis piece. When we don't necessarily understand who we are, we put ourselves in a situation to where we either invite, well, I won't say invite, we either put ourselves in a situation to where abuse is available. And in most cases, it has reared its head before you went into it. Like you've seen some signs and symptoms that said, okay, this can potentially happen. However, I also understand that there are some scenarios to where there was no sign, there was no indicator. So we got to realize that there is always, there's always another side of the story. There's always another version of the story that exists out there. We can't just say one side is always, this is an absolute truth. No, it's not absolute. It's always both sides of it. So the law of polarity always exists when it comes to this. So thank you guys for your responses. And for everybody in the chat, keep putting your information in there because we're seeing it. I'm going to get to it, I promise, because I see you're already starting to add the value that you normally do. But I want to kind of like dive into some of these questions and then I'm going to bring those to the table as well. So first and foremost, I kind of want to get after the personal awareness and self-reflection side of it, right? So that being said, the question up under here is if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self about recognizing and preventing abuse? Now, this is where the education has to happen before. So what would you go back and tell the younger you?
If you have a feeling in your gut, then that feeling in your gut is valid and you need to say something. It's not disrespectful. It's not anything like that. It's you saying what you need to say and dealing with what you need to deal with. Say something. Don't just bottle it up or don't just think you're supposed to take it just because that person holds a position in your life. You do not have to accept abuse. And as I always say, learn how to take a loss. Because a lot of times I saw a meme that says sometimes it hurts more holding on than it does to let go. It's okay for you to say something, man. And I don't care who it is. If it's your parent, be respectful because that's your parent, but be respectful. Teacher, be respectful. Friends, all of that. Say something. Because abuse doesn't necessarily have to be physical. They could be talking to you crazy and camouflaging it as a joke. That's still abuse because it's still you know what I'm saying? Like, say something. That would be my advice.
I think for me, I think I would tell my younger self that abuse and trust kind of go hand in hand. So make sure that you aren't on the other side of that abuse when someone entrusts you also.
There's a lot of lessons that I would teach my young self to protect myself from abuse that took me to recent years to realize was happening. And that's just on the mental side, right? But I would also express to them, to my younger self, as far as self-awareness goes, hey, just because someone responds to you in a certain way doesn't mean you repeat that action automatically to get to garnish a response from that person. Because to me, that is a sign of abuse, and it's one that I don't think a lot of people notice that we do. Right? It's almost like a marketing tool, but and when it comes to relationships, uh, friendships or whatever, it's abuse. If I if I know that if I just shut up and I walk away, that because you feel like as if you hurt me or whatever the case may be, or if I don't respond to your text for 2 weeks, I know you'll start to feel the sting, and then you came back running to me. And if I do that every time because I know you'll come back and admit you're wrong, then after the second time, that's abuse. And that's something that I've noticed that we used to do a lot in our community. We we found a way someone reacts, and then we just keep doing it and doing it to foster that reaction from them every time.
That's all great advice. Um, I think for me, I think we all understand that there's a common cliche that says hurt people. But on the other side of that, heal people as well, right? So I think coming from a lineage of hurt, and I don't think anybody's exempt when I say this, coming from a lineage of hurt, I would tell my younger self to start asking questions. Ask questions early, ask questions often. If you don't understand a thing, ask a question. If you want to know why this took place, ask a question, right? Asking a question is not a form of disrespect, it's a form of curiosity only if it is because you want to learn. So make sure that you ask questions before because you want to learn, not because you're sharpshooting or anything of that nature. Ask questions. Ask your mother questions. Ask your dad questions. Ask your uncle's questions. Ask your aunt questions. Ask any adult who literally desire to pour into you so that your life can be better, right? So that would be the advice I give myself. Ask questions about any and everything under the sun, because you guys know just as well as I know, especially as a young boy growing up, right? There's a lot of things that we did not ask, and we just went out there and did the trial and error thing. And some of that stuff backfired on us. So instead of doing that, right, ask questions again, ask questions. For the younger people now, you are in a space like you guys are light years beyond where we were, because you got people who don't even know you and they actually care about you. They're giving you, like, as you were here today, they're giving you the tea right now. You know what I'm saying? They're giving you the things that they would have done if they had known better, or if somebody had taken the time to invest in them. And oh yeah, by the way, you got to realize, especially in our community, there's this thing called pride, right? So you will have grown men who did some things in their life that they weren't too proud of, and they would try their best to hide it and keep it in the closet, keep them skeletons hidden, right? And so they would teach lessons from the perspective of perfection, knowing good and god doggone well they wasn't perfect. So that's the thing. Ask questions, and ask questions. If you ask questions, and you know, and the right adult hears that, and they understand you have a desire to learn, then hopefully, prayerfully, they will take the time to pour into you so that you can expedite your life and get to the place where you're thriving at an earlier age, instead of going through the rigmarole of just simply trying to figure it out. I think that's important to understand. So let's see, because there's a lot of great statements here. I want to jump up to Michelle Ray's statement. I think we answered Ms. Verlene McCoy question. As a community, do we really know what abuse is? So Michelle Ray said she said behavior in society has been supported in a positive way. Michelle, if you can expound on that, I'd want to make sure that I'm understanding exactly what you're saying. She later goes on and says she don't believe that we're doing enough. I think Ms. McCoy said, we have always been taught that abuse is more physical and verbal. What is mental abuse? Great question. So, gentlemen, if you don't mind, real quick, would you mind addressing? I think that's a question. What is mental abuse? Because she's absolutely right, and that's why I mentioned it previously. Physical abuse is a thing. Verbal abuse is a thing, and it's a clear, defined reality thing. But what is, in your own words, what is mental abuse?
I jump on that grenade first. I think when you and I'm talking right now from the aspect of, like, let's just take a romantic relationship. When you know your spouse and you know how they react, and this is just one way, and you use that and you shape that to get what you want out of the relationship or to get a change out of them, right? That whole concept of, and believe it, amongst women my age, this is definitely a conversation. The idea of build a Negro, that they know the things. A lot of women know the things that biologically men react to from women, and so when you use that thing to try to shape them and move them and manipulate behavior out of them, and then 5 years later they turn back around, they don't even recognize themselves. It's because that's mental abuse. That's you fake a hurt to get your loved ones to run to you and give you the attention you want. Those type of behaviors are mental abuse.
I say it all the time. Mental abuse is you thinking that you have some sort of power or some sort of control over somebody that's in your life just because you hold a position in it. That to me is mental abuse because it's a form of manipulation. And manipulation by definition in this context would be abuse, because you're trying to change how this person thinks and how this person feels just because you hold a position in their life. You're trying to keep them there. That to me is mental abuse. And it comes in all shapes and forms from everybody. I'm not talking just one dynamic. I'm talking every dynamic. You'll hear it and you know it. Like I said this before, man, we're not as dumb as people make us out to be, man. We know what this is. Like we do. We know what this is. It's just different. It's just different. I would say that the mental abuse aspect of it resonates more with a lot of people, but we haven't reached a mature point in the conversation to actually have an intelligent conversation about it. Right now, a lot of men out here, since it's okay for us to talk, we're just word vomiting a lot of stuff and not really like processing it. So I think that could be a component of why this conversation is so contentious. But just to get back to the question, I honestly believe that mental abuse is someone thinking that you are supposed to be this way just because they have a position in your life and you got to do it because of the position.
Okay. I would say it's a way of controlling a person's thinking, and they use tactics like threats, insults. We all seen, well, growing up, I seen where people would say you dumb or you this or any negative, you gonna be just like your daddy or any, it was always those insults that were thrown at a person to inflict the psyche of a person. And they're thinking that it's going to change them for the better, but you're throwing it out there as an insult, and it's demeaning, and it makes a person smaller. It doesn't build them up. Anything that doesn't build you up mentally, that's thrown out there like that, is meant to control your way of thinking or where you go. And I know people would like the movie What's Love Got to Do with It. That was a perfect example, the whole movie. And I don't know how much of it was true, but how they depicted Ike and what he would say and the things that he would say to Tina was all mental manipulation. Oh, you gonna leave me like the mother fools? Oh, like, and people will do things like that. You gonna leave me just like such and such. Oh, if you do this, then, it's like, no, every instance isn't the same. So you can't just put that on me. And when you start putting the weight that's in your head on another person to make them do what you want them to do, that's mental abuse. That's mental manipulation.
Yep, I agree 100%. In conjunction with that as well, they start to compound, right? They can compound. You'll have the physical abuse, you'll have the verbal abuse, and then you'll have what I tend to call more so psychological abuse and then mental abuse, because that person, even after the physical abuse and the verbal abuse, will have you second guessing yourself, right? You could be like, I tend to say we have to be keen observers of reality, right? You can literally see a thing and that person would turn around and make you feel like you're dumb or that what you've seen is not reality, which is the new term these days is gaslighting. I mean, we make up new words every week. So, that's what they call gaslighting, right? So make you believe that you're crazy because of your perspective, what you see, what you observe, things of that nature. Again, something that is more concrete, something that is objectively seen by you, they will turn around and flip it so that what you see, you now start to question and second guess. And then that you're in a situation to where if you stay, it'll be detrimental for your health in the long term. But then you start feeling guilty about leaving because of the tactics that they're using, things of that nature. So I hope that we answered that question, Ms. Verlene McCoy. Great question, by the way. And thank you for that. Let's kind of dive into the next question, because I want to make sure that we're getting after some of these things here. So next question: how do I recognize the subtle differences between the expression of love and control within yourself?
Expression of love and control. An expression of love has to do with how I feel towards another person. When it becomes control is when I take how I feel and I'm more concerned about how I feel, and your concern is of no concern to me because it's all about me and not the other person. That's where the love part goes awry because you're more concerned about how you feel versus how it makes the other person feel.
Oh, wait, hold on. We just can't speed past that like you just didn't say that now. But what about all this self-love stuff going around?
I have no problem with self love.
Jesus H.
But ain't that what you just said,
Because
though?
no. I'm talking about
Okay.
if I'm trying to, if I'm when expressing to another person. Now I can self love me all day, but when I'm doing something for somebody, supposedly for someone else,
Hmm.
but the objective is to please me.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that's exactly where I was going to go with it. I think there's a difference between the difference, not there is, because we know that the difference between self-love and control is expression of love. Is the expression of love is I do it simply on the fact that I love you. I did it because I was thinking about you. When I go to the store and I buy your favorite chips, it's because you were on my mind, even in the simplicity of food shopping, right? Uh, if I go clothes shopping and I come back with the pair of shoes that you've been looking at online and I saw it on my browsing history 100 times, I did it because I was thinking about you. Or you know what I'm saying? Like that's my expression of love to you. And I require nothing in return for my expression of love. I just do it because I love you. Now when it becomes control is when everything that I do has to constantly be brought up and thrown into your face in order to get you to to respond with the type of love I want you to respond with, or to respond with the behavior or actions I want you to respond with. Now that becomes control, because I want you to know I require this specific things because I did this. You know, that conversation can keep going in circles. Go ahead. I hear you over there.
Nah, man, y'all pretty much summed it up. The difference between control and love is the law of equivalent exchange. But see, here's the thing though. Are we talking like how yes, okay. I don't know, man. I would rather express like than express love. And I'll tell you why. Love to me is a responsibility. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a weight that you have to carry. But if I like you, I'm going to do things just because I like you. You understand what I'm saying? And another form of abuse is people thinking just because I love you, I'm supposed to do this. You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't have to do anything. Everything is choice. You understand what I'm saying? So I guess the difference is you all pretty much hit it on the head, but I'm going to go to the like aspect of it because I want to do stuff because I like you. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to control you though. You can do what you want, but I just want to do this because I like you.
You know, I got to ask a question now, right? What happens when she makes you not like her?
Then we
It's
have a
gonna happen.
conversation. We have a conversation like we have a conversation about I don't like you right now, and here's why. I love you. I truly do, but I'm not feeling you right now. And we need to hash this out. Don't get mad. Don't get frustrated. You just did something that made me not like you. So I need to figure out why you did this thing so that way I can make a decision of whether or not I want to like you some more or whether or not I need to go on about my business.
So let me ask this, because I think I like what you're doing here, right? Can the fact, because you said you love her, but right now I just don't like you right now. But the question become, even in the midst of not liking you right now, do I still do the things that I would normally do because I love her, even though I don't like her?
That depends on how the I don't like you conversation goes.
Man, I can't wait till you have kids.
You understand what I'm saying?
Can I jump in here? I got kids and a wife. So, yes.
Come on, get them out.
Yes. It's some stuff where when I can't stand that person that's on the other side of that I'm still going to do. Because, see, I'm obligated to my part of this, whether that person is doing theirs or not. See, that's where that 50-50 bullcrap, whatever. I'm 100. I got to do my 100. I ain't even worried about yours. If you do it or not, you don't answer to me in that realm. So if I usually do something, if I'm at the store, I'm not going to not get something because that's just being petty and immature. But if I'm not liking you right now, okay, I can go downstairs and watch TV. I can come in the loft and watch TV. I don't have to be around you, but my love for you still wants to make sure you're good, make sure you're cared for, make the love for you. Not a like, man, you can go outside and, whatever, but I'm going to make sure you eat. Oh, I make the food, but I'm not fixing your plate. That's just
can I ask a question though?
Calm.
Can I ask a question? Because what you just spoke about didn't sound like love. It sounded like responsibility. You have a responsibility as the husband to keep. You have a responsibility as a husband to keep everything that you need flowing. I don't know. Like I said, man, love is different. I don't understand it. So I would rather just focus on how much I like a person. Maybe when I get to that point, I can tell the difference. But I get what you're saying as far as being committed and as far as being a husband. You got responsibilities that you need to take care of. But I compartmentalize. I don't view me taking care of what I was going to take care of anyway, whether you was going to be here or not, as love. That's just me doing what I'm supposed to do. You just here. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know.
There's a slight difference though, right? So you use a statement a lot, right? I just take the L, right? But that's when that's when love steps in, right? Because there's a lot of excuses out there to just take the L, right? And that's when you basing on that like premise, right? But on that love premise, it allows sometimes taking that L is just biting the bullet and fighting through the dislike right now because I love you. Though there is a responsibility, like will have me to abort mission on that responsibility because I don't like what you do, say, or did. But love keeps me committed to the responsibility because I made a vow to you to be responsible. I'm not responsible to you because, like you say, I hold that position. I'm responsible because I vowed to you that I will be responsible to you. So though I don't like you and I can't stand you probably, but guess what? I love you, so I'm still here, and I'm still trying to fight and make and keep up my end of the vow the best I
Perfect
can. Go ahead.
example. The movie Boomerang, when Eddie went and slept with Mike Tyson's ex-wife, Robin Gibbons, when he went and slept with her, and then he came back home to Hallie, and then he said, "But I love you," and she said, "Love, if you love me, you would have brought your A home." Yeah, love would see when you like a person, you ain't got to come home. What it matter? Because if I lose you, like I like Crunchy Munch, but if I go to the store and
Oh shoot.
Hey, we lost
I
you,
get
bro.
some peanut butter Captain Crunch, I'm still good. I don't have to have it. I'm not obligated to it. So the like portion is I can like a lot of things. But when it's that love has a commitment value that supersedes what I like. So I do what I wouldn't do because of the love, not because of the like. Because the like is, I'll just go find another.
I beg to differ because I want to do stuff for people I like. You understand what I'm saying? I want to come home to people I like. You understand what I'm saying? I don't view love like that. Love is the way that you are describing it, it seems like it just seems like a huge weight, which is why I compartmentalize. You understand what I'm saying? I have to compartmentalize. Love would have brought you home last night. So but okay, we're committed and we're doing all of this, but don't use that as because you think I'm supposed to think like that I'm supposed to think like that. I think that's a version of control. If you ask me, love should have brought you home last night. So what you think of love, I'm supposed to think of it too? No.
Love is love. I don't think I think it's a respect and responsibility thing for whomever. I don't care how you twist it or word it, you can try to frame it. Because if you focus on like, I like going to get my feet done when the little Chinese woman sitting up there doing the little thing on the feet and she, doing feet. I like that. I like when they stick my feet in the water and stuff. I don't have to do it. I can do it myself. See, there's no commitment to me and Miss Sue at all. It don't even have to be her. It could be Johnny or whomever it is with the American name. But there's no commitment. See, I think what we do is we say like and love. It's all. It's. See, we look at these things as just mere feelings. So yeah, I feel like sometimes I feel, like sometimes I feel like talking about the candy bar. Sometimes I don't. And talking about Almond Joy and Miles. No, that's not love. I like them. I can have either or, but that's not how this love thing works. And I think when you have children, there are things that you will do for your children that you looking like, man, I wouldn't have never done that for nobody. But then you see, there's always a sacrifice for love. Love comes with sacrifice for things that you normally wouldn't do for just everybody. But because of that love, not like, and I understand you saying you got to like people. Yeah, you want to like the people that you're around, or you can just go and kick rock somewhere else. But when it comes to, I don't think we're talking about you getting along with, you having that relationship at the moment with. We're talking about that deeper feeling, that deeper commitment of a person that you're intertwined with.
So go ahead, bro.
No, I just wanted to jump on it real quick because I do agree, Chris. Love is a weight. It is a weight and it is a burden. But you know what? Because I love how my body looks when I get bigger, by I lift the weight constantly. I'm
Damn
talking
right.
think all right. So I lift the weight constantly and I lift it with 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 purpose, with execution, because there's something that happens to me when I do it. So yes, love is a weight, and I can't go to the gym and be afraid to lift that weight because it's heavier than what I lifted last week. I have to go there willing to do what it takes to get myself to the next level. This is what love is. And love hurts a lot of times, yes, but the problem is we walk into with the fear of not receiving that same level of love back, so we don't want to give it because we don't want to be hurt, which means we're not willing to love. And eventually the people that we are with will begin to notice the lack in their life from not receiving love, and they will have to abort mission to find it. So we can't move in that fear of someone not reciprocating. Lift that burden, lift it, and do it with purpose and repetition, because there is an effect that it has on you, and it benefits you every day, even when it hurts. That's all I got to say to that, man.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump in real quick because we're kind of focusing on the difference between like and love right now. No, you get the difference between like and love. And what I would tell you is that, Brother Gaddy, what you described about the gym, that's not love. But and that's just my opinion.
I like the way
However,
I look, and I kind of like going to
correct,
the gym, but that
absolutely
shit hurt.
right. But it feeds this thing here because I like how I look. That's my ego. So we got to understand it's a big difference between like and love, right? And what I would tell you is that like is the gateway to control. Because I like this thing, I will convince the other person to do a thing because I like it, right? So we got to be careful with that. But we can continue along that conversation at a later point in time. But the difference is understanding, right? Whether I am making a person do a thing because I like it, or whether I'm doing the thing because of the commitment that I made, right? If it's because of the commitment that I made, right? Especially if we're talking to marriage, if it's because of the commitment that I made to the relationship, ultimately the Most High, then that's why I do what I do, even if I don't like you, right? I don't have to like you. Like if you got any kids, everybody know what I'm talking about. If you got kids, you don't always like your kids, but you love them all the time. You see what I'm saying? But by that same token, the like thing, yeah, I don't want to manipulate them to do anything. I want them to take the things that I teach them and move forward and be the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. But they don't always get the like, but they will always get the love. And that's the point that I want to kind of make in there. And they was going off in the chats as well. So, man, where do I go? I think I said in the chat, Brother Barrel, welcome to the show. Let's go with Rand. What is it, Rand? I hope I'm saying your name right. I lost it. Somebody else put something in there. Randy. Okay, there you go. Women, including myself, have gotten hurt due to taking things personally versus you not like the actions she did. Yeah. I think that's. I think I'm understanding what you're saying. I think a lot of times what we'll do because of what we like or what we don't like, we will take a thing personally when it comes down to our interaction with somebody else. So great point. Moving on to the next. Let's grab two more before we move on to the next question. I don't. Loving someone is allowing them to be themselves, and if you're not controlling someone, that's not an act of love. So I like that. I think that came from Stephen. Nope, I'm sorry, that came from Cranberry. So I get what you're saying, but I would say that loving someone, even if me sharing something with them, understanding that they may not like what I'm about to say, they may not necessarily like my observation or me sharing it with them. I'm sharing it with them because I love them. It's not me focusing on the like. And so I would take the risk because of love. So in the space of allowing them to be themselves, what we have to understand is that allowing them to be themselves, relationships is the gateway for growth and development. So allowing them to be themselves is so that I can observe who they really are, learn who they are, and then share some things that I observe. And they do the same thing with me. So what we have is a symbiotic relationship. That's the law of reciprocity now, right? That going back and forth of us developing each other in the direction that we're supposed to go for the sake of love. So that's the piece that I would add there. Bro, you about to say something, Ro?
Yeah, because like in this situation, that's why I hate when people come to others and they say, I got to tell you something, but you can't get mad. Like, huh? So you want to tell me that you about to tell me something that I'm going to get mad, that you think I'm going to get mad, but I can't feel. I have to allow the other person to feel whatever they going to feel. Because if I'm trying to control it, I need to keep it to myself. Because when you got to control every nuance of a relationship, of a feeling of another person, like people that buy gifts for other people and don't get the response and then they get mad. You got me a gift that you like. You didn't buy me
Right.
something that I would like. So you wanted to do this. Just say you wanted it. I give it to you. But don't say you got it from me. And that's a manipulation. That's a controlling measure. But a lot of us have that when we buy gifts. Like, oh, I just knew you was gonna like that. Like, dude, that woman don't play basketball, and you bought her some J's. Talking about let's go to the court. That's for you. That ain't for her. But
Big facts. Big facts. Love it. Love it. Love it. Adrian, good to see you. Welcome to today's show. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the next question, because man, we're already at our point. Goodness. Next is communication and relationships. All right. The question that I have here, yeah, no. Does my upbringing influence my understanding and tolerance of abuse? If so, how?
Absolutely. Because I know what it looks like, and I ain't dealing with that no more. This is why I'm not afraid to lose. I have a zero tolerance for abuse because I had to deal with it from people that I thought loved me. No.
I would say it does influence my understanding because some of the things that I grew up with, I was influenced with, whether it be in a positive or a negative way. So I may be doing the same thing. I may portray the same acts onto my children, onto my spouse. I getting there, make my food, and all that. That's abuse. That because that's not her role. That's not her role to be talked to like that. But it's a tolerance, yes, but that's something you can unlearn. Things that you learn, you can also unlearn. So hopefully, as you mature, as you are exposed to new and better ways of dealing with things, you learn better behaviors to enact with other people so that you aren't portraying those same things and you are less tolerable. Because, like Chris, I'm not tolerant of things that abused me when I was a kid because I see it. I know what it feels like. I know what it tastes like. So when I see it, I I go into a space and I make sure that whomever is getting abused that I see as abuse right then, I nip it in the bud right then.
I think the consensus is clear. That absolutely, because I just say for me, I remember when my mother and my father split, and we were with my mother. My mother and her friends would be together. I was always told, because I was the only boy in the house, right, in the house full of women, all the time. Because I'm a boy, I'm supposed to always make a girl feel happy. Always supposed to make the girl feel special. Always make the girl feel safe. Never let the girl want. Never make the girl cry. Never make the girl feel unappreciated. And so my whole life revolved around I'm supposed to do everything the girl ever asks, want, and do. Like that's the mentality. Not it wasn't said like that, but these are things that was told to me all the time by every woman, because men ain't this and men ain't that, and so that you not like these ain't brothers. You got to act like this. You got to act like that. And so when I started dating, I was very tolerant of certain
Yeah.
behaviors, because I felt like if I wasn't making her smile, if I wasn't making her feel like this, she could
You
tell
was a
me in a
punk, you
moment.
was a simp, you was a sucker,
I-
you was all of these names.
Absolutely.
That was a
And
Babyface
so,
song, what?
Nope. Not tonight. Not tonight.
and so,
Not tonight. Nope.
and yeah.
I'm not. Nope.
So for me, then don't let me start. I'm messing. Nah, but so for me, I tolerated a lot of things because I felt like if she didn't respond like this, I wasn't doing the right thing. If she didn't respond like this, I wasn't doing the right thing. Until one day I woke up and I was like, stop it. No. And then the first time I told girl, no, you ain't a real man. Because a real man would have not paid my bills so that you can get something you don't need. No, sorry. Then I got told I don't deal with broke Negroes. And I said, okay, have a nice day. Right. But growing up, yes, I tolerated a lot because that's how I was brought up. That's what I was taught.
Yeah, I think this is a unanimous yes, without hesitation. Not only is it a unanimous yes, it's even a yes twice on Sundays. I think we've seen some things growing up to where it was the norm, and you would hear certain things. Well, oh, that's just how she is, or oh, that's just how he is. So we were taught to accept certain things. We was taught to that's norm within the space of relationship. You tolerate these things because of love. Well, no, I beg to differ. I think those things that we seen were more so of coping mechanisms than it was for authentic relationships. Okay, moving on.
Wait, but hold on, though. I just want to hit on it real quick. But do you see why I compartmentalize love and like? Because of what you just said. Like, love bears some this unfair responsibility, this unfair weight. You know what I'm saying? That I'm supposed to. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, but I was articulating it intentionally wrong because that's what we were taught.
Right. And that's why I said I compartmentalize, because that's the norm.
But to my point, we can't bring old teaching into a new space. You see what I'm saying? We have to, I think Brother Gaddy said it, like we got to unlearn some things, right? You weren't taught everything right. And so we have to become intentional about what we unlearn for the sake of learning the new information. And the new information really isn't new. It's just we're starting to read more now. That's really all it is, right? The information has been there since I was, knee high to a duck. That's what the old folks used to say, right? Then it's been there the whole time. Nobody just took the time to read it for themselves. They just accept what the man was saying on stage. And I said it like that intentionally. However, understanding now what it is, getting into it, dissecting it, processing it, being open to it, it's not any of those things that Brother Gaddy was just talking about. It does not minimize a person for the sake of the glory of another person. That's false. That is wrong. It will always be wrong. And I don't care who paints the picture. I got divorced behind that. So that's the thing I'm trying to tell you. Oh, yes, absolutely. That's the thing I'm trying to share with you. Don't do that to yourself and compartmentalize because of faulty teaching. You see what I'm saying? Release that and expose yourself to what it really is, because like my favorite phrase now is that love does not alienate. And what Gaddy just described is alienate. He had to alienate himself for the sake of elevating somebody else. No, it doesn't alienate. It collaborates. The both of you learn to uplift and edify one another. And if you can't take edification, I can't talk with you. That's it. And edification simply means to instruct. If you can't hear instructions because you have to be right, then go do that someplace else. So don't do that to yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't compartmentalize, because over the period of time that becomes unhealthy.
But see, I have to as of right now at this moment, because I have a warped, distorted view of what love is supposed to be. So I have to compartmentalize until I figure out what love is supposed to be for me. So if I bring somebody into my life and I'm doing things, I'm doing it because I like them. And the moment I don't like you is the moment we have a conversation. And how that conversation goes determines on whether or not I continue to like you or I take my like someplace else. But I can't go into the love thing because I don't know what it looked like. At least not the strawberries and rainbows that y'all are talking about. I don't know what that is.
I like fruit.
I don't know what the strawberries and rainbows.
Jesus,
Yeah, I'm about to say.
You know what I mean? Like,
because
Go
I think
ahead, man.
love
Y'all
is
got it. I'm done. I'm
love
done.
is
No, you
more
good.
I'm
love
done,
is
No.
man.
love is going to a public bathroom. It's a lot of mess in there, but you choose to clean it up. You choose to work on it. You choose to make it right. Love ain't this how people per se. Oh, I'm floating, and then the little white baby that shot me in the butt with the arrow. And no, that ain't love. Because love mean I'm gonna have to do some work. I'm gonna
Taboos.
have,
It's
yeah,
responsibility
yes.
Do
that
some
I
work
don't
this way.
understand.
I gotta do some work this way. That's the work I gotta do right there. I gotta do some work this way first.
Yep.
That's why I say what I say. Right? Love makes you take a look in the mirror and say, you know what? I got a long way to go. I got to improve me.
Yep.
Right? Manipulation says you got to improve you. You see what I'm saying? That's why I talk against like. And social media is the platform that provokes like. That being said, y'all go ahead and hit the like button wherever y'all at. I don't care if you're on Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Whether you're on YouTube, don't hit the like button. We like likes. But anyway, as I was saying, social media provokes like. And so like is the norm. Y'all like I did that, don't you? Like is the norm. And we get so accustomed to like, and we only move in spaces. Even they're saying, go where you, what does it say? Go where you are celebrated, not tolerated. Well, maybe there are some people that exist out there to where they feel as though some people are tolerating them because they're not accepting the bad behavior that they're displaying in their area. So what they do is they go around people that only celebrate them because these people don't ever tell them the truth. So we got to be careful with that. So yeah, man.
And can I just I think I'm gonna be the unfavored child tonight. I'm sorry, but
The
love
what?
love
Just tonight? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
maybe, but love is gonna make me do this. You know what it is. You know what it's called when you tell somebody I'll drop you if I don't like you. That's control.
Control.
I didn't tell
Manipulation.
anybody that. I'm not telling. What? Come on, man. Do you really think that I'm just gonna look?
Listen,
I
but-
might
but-
be
but-
the take the L dude, but I'm not gonna up front and just be like, "Hey, girl, if I don't like you, we're done." No, I'm not gonna do that. However,
but
if
that
a
is what it
behavior
that is
comes
what
up
it is.
that I don't like, or that's making me
What?
not like this person, then I
What you
gotta
gonna
say
do?
something. Don't
Everybody
play
does
me like
that.
that on this fine Friday evening. Don't do that.
Everybody does that. And even people who love each other do that. Love gives you the freedom to do that because you're in that environment. But you can't that idea that my like holds the weight, that becomes control. Love moves us out of that aspect. It gives me the freedom to be wrong sometimes and be corrected. I'm just saying. I just had to.
I just like
Okay.
the fact that Roland hit the Chris Tucker just now when he said control. That was pretty awesome, man. I love it. I love it. Listen, we're getting close to that time. We need one more good question. Let's get the gaslighting question. Can we do that one?
Oh Lord.
I know, man. I got it. Can we do the gaslight question real quick? There we go. How do I overcome feelings, fear, people pleasing, etc., when confronted with manipulative tactics like gaslighting?
You are you walk away. You walk away from it.
When do you? I'm not opposed to what you're saying, but when do I walk away?
You walk away from it when you first notice it. You know when that person. I don't even understand. Wait, before I even go into this question, can someone clearly define me what gaslighting is? Because this is one of these new buzz phrases that I have no idea what it is. It seems to be another one of those fluid things too.
According to the American Psychological Association, gaslighting is manipulating another person into doubting their own perceptions, experiences, or understanding of events. Now, to your point, you're absolutely right. People would just use that term in a false, from a false narrative.
So if I'm understanding what you read properly, just for the context, it's pretty much manipulating the information to change the narrative, pretty much.
It's
Is it
manipulation.
a manipulation of feelings, or is a manipulation of information, or is it an invalidation of how you feel about what's going on?
Any version of contortion, right? Any version of contortion to gain an advantage over another person in a particular scenario. That's the best way to simplify it.
It's like instead of me trying to understand what you're saying, I say you crazy, and everybody thinks like you crazy. Because now what I'm putting on you is that you're wrong for thinking the way you do, and I'm right. Or
Oh,
like,
this is easy.
yeah.
Oh, this is
Or
easy. I tell them to shut up and not go on about my business.
but it could be like people that have been damaged by other people. When you're talking molestation and all that other stuff, they will say, like family members will say, he ain't touch you like that. Stop acting like that. I say, no, he didn't mean it like that. Like he didn't mean it like that. How else can he mean it? He had his hand on my in the thigh. So things like that, where other people will tell you you didn't really see or feel the way you felt. It wasn't that way.
So both of what he said then, information manipulation and invalidation.
That's why I
Okay.
say any version of contorting.
How do you overcome the feelings when being confronted like it's actually happening when you're having a conversation? You
Bring the
walk
question
away
back
from
up.
the conversation. Like, what else can you do if that person is going to manipulate what's going on, or even to the point of saying that how you feel doesn't matter because this is how I feel and this is how I see it? Is that what gaslighting is? Oh man, get out of my face. Okay, you could feel like that over there because clearly you don't even want to hear how I'm feeling, and you probably taking me being honest with you about how I feel as an attack on you and not what you did. I'm
But
leaving.
for you, right? I don't hear you as being a person who have fear of expressing themselves or, feel like you need to people please. We got to realize there are people out there who fear confrontation. They fear being in heated discussions, right?
See, and this is the part where I agree with a lot of the men out here, only because that fear is holding a lot of us back. You can't be I just quit being afraid of that because I quit being afraid of that because I was done not being happy. You understand what I'm saying? I was done with that. I'm done not being happy, and I'm done allowing people to put me in situations where I'm not happy just because they think they can. Like, no, everything that I do is choice. Everything. I can choose to do it and I can choose not to do it. I can make the choice and I can unmake the choice. So if I'm to keep it real, the fact that I'm bringing something to you, it has to mean something because we as men have been taught that we're not allowed to feel. So me even saying something to you should mean that it's something in my gut that's there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just not doing that no more. You have to come a point in time where you just fed up, and I'm fed up.
I think first you have to be able to stand up for yourself, and that's why I don't shut my kids up. Like if they have something to say, if they got a question, I don't use that where this grown folks conversation. Like if we're talking, I don't shut them up just because I don't understand their question, or just because if they have they're trying to understand something, they go ask questions, and they shouldn't be shut down because of that. Because when they shut down here, any adult or any authority figure shuts them down. So I don't do that. So I make sure that when they get older, they're not gonna be them kids or them young adults who, when somebody says something, they gotta bow down. And me and Gaddy was in a situation where I had said something. We were in the forum, and then I had another person trying to explain what I said. I took offense because he was getting. I'm like, I am well versed in the English language. I said what the heck I meant. And that's exactly what I said to that effect. Like, dude, I don't need you to explain nothing for me. I said what I meant. I meant what I said. You don't have to clean it up because you think this person's feelings are involved or anything like that. Because I'm not out to hurt feelings. I'm speaking truth. And if you can't handle that, it's on you and not me.
Get over being offensive. Get over that. Because just opening your mouth and saying something runs the risk of you offending somebody. If you got a feeling in your gut, say something. I don't care who it is. Just be respectful when you say it, so that way it doesn't come across as grr. Like, hey, let me talk to you for a minute. I don't like this feeling I got. Let's hash this out. You understand what I'm saying? If they take offense to it, let them process it. But I think another portion of this needs to be understood, that a lot of times when we talk, we're not talking about you as a person. We're talking about the thing that you did. So we're trying to address the behavior. And I think that on a general scale, the behavior is so intertwined with the person that they can't tell the difference. It's like so much a part of them that when you say something, it feels like you're talking directly to them, and they don't know how to differentiate that. That's just my take on it.
I'll say the way you overcome the feeling of fear or people pleasing, just call it out. If you don't want to, because Coach is right. There are people out there that are afraid of confrontation, or not even just afraid, just don't like it. All right. So they find themselves in the people pleasing mode, or in the fear of this conversation going wrong. Right. So what you do is you tend to shorten your words of contention. You tend to like swallow your thoughts instead of actually just making it plain. You gotta start simple. Just call out what's happening. Hey, quit gaslighting. All right. When you start there, now that person either has to stop or address. And now the conversation is open for you to begin to express yourself. Right. Instead of just sitting and taking it and being manipulated and then just swallowing your thought and never being able to express yourself, you have to begin to just call the thing out. Let's change this conversation, because sometimes until you call a liar to his face, he believes he has you convinced that he's not lying. So sometimes you just got to say, man, quit lying. That's not what happened. Quit gaslighting. And now the whole texture of the conversation will change. And now after we had addressed this, back to what I was saying was, and continue to express yourself. And that's in any form of manipulation. You have to be able to just call it out and make that person face themselves right in the mirror. Just pull the mirror up and make them see themselves. And that's all I got. Because to me, that'll change the conversation. That allow you to start to now express yourself more freely without being afraid of the conversation turning. Because either that person is going to swallow that truth, or they're going to fight. They're going to fight back, and now you get to express how you feel and get over it, because you got to get that out, or it'll weigh on you.
Yeah, this can be a very tough process. I'm gonna be completely transparent. Having a person to overcome certain feelings that they have been packing down for years, right? Whatever it is that you continue to build on, it has layers to it. And for people who've been practicing existing in space with fear or people pleasing or whatever that looks like, it can be a very difficult thing and can be very challenging. There's two ways you can do it, right? You can be extremely brave and just do it yourself, right? You can just put yourself in it and just say, I am going to overcome this. I've met very few people who can do that. Or again, like I said, relationship is the gateway for growth and development. You can be in a relationship with a person who will hold the space, right? Even in the midst of the anxiety that you're feeling, they will hold a space and let you work out your emotions right then and there. But they will not change, they will not move, and they're going to, I hate to use this term because a lot of people don't like it, but they're going to hold you to the conversation, right? Some people say demand we stay in the conversation, and you're going to try to maneuver around it. I'm telling you, it is crystal clear You will see people maneuver around it. They answer a question in such a way that it sounds as though they're responding to it, and they actually think they're responding to it, but they will not address the question straight on. They'll sidestep and move over here and say something that sounds good, or they'll come over here and say something that kind of, it kind of touches on it. But you go right back to your question. You go right back to your statement, and you ask them to stay in that particular scenario. It'll take some time, but eventually they will realize that, you know what? I see every time we have a conversation, you keep bringing me back to center on the questions that you ask me or the statements that you're having with me because you want me to respond to what you're saying. Here's the other side to it. Communication is the transfer of information from one person to the other. A lot of times we're not communicating. The only thing we're doing is everybody is just disseminating information. If one person disseminates information, the other person has a responsibility to respond to what that person says. The reason why we don't do that is because we think that what I got to say is the most important thing. So learn how to communicate, first of all, right? Communication has a purpose, right? Generally, we're doing it to do a thing or to share some information or something, right? That's what we have to do. We have to get good at communicating. One of the most basic things that you have in your life is the art of communication. That's one of the things that separates you. Well, I can't say separate you from animals because animals know how to communicate as well. But your ability to reason while communicating is the thing that really helps separate you from primitive nature. So we got to get to the point to where we can talk honestly and openly and then be able to respond to the other person. If we're struggling responding to the other person, that's a me problem. I can't make it your problem. When I make it your problem, that's when it's going to become a huge problem in the space of relationship. So that's what we have to do. And that's just one thing, right? That I'm sharing, but there's several things that we can do, right? We can do prolonged exposure. And that's very painful, but it is what it is. You go around a person that you really have an ought with, and you stay in that person's presence, and you do not leave until you have that very difficult conversation. That is another good technique. So again, we appreciate everybody for joining us. Appreciate these brothers, man, for the conversation that we're having. We appreciate everybody in the chat. I know that I didn't get a chance to read a lot of your messages tonight, but trust me, there was still value added. And just because I'm not reading them, I'm seeing them as well. And Adrian, I see you, girl. You're doing your thing. I appreciate you. She came in just dropping nuggets. So again, blessings to each and every one of you. As always, this is our bittersweet moment where we get after our final thoughts. So with that being said, it's gonna start down here and it's just gonna swing its way around. So with that being said, first on deck is Chris from across the table.
I don't know, man. I guess my final thought is you know what abuse is, and you know the difference between abuse and constructive criticism and somebody correcting a behavior. You know the difference. But if you have a feeling in your gut that you know something is wrong, it's not wrong for you to say something. Speak up. We need more people to actually start talking so that way we can fix this. We need to figure this out. I guess that would be my final thought. Just cut and dry. Just say something.
I think a lot of the things that we deal with when we talk about emotional and mental abuse, in that aspect, it deals with the first fact that I believe in our community is that we do not spend enough time with our own healing, and because we haven't healed, we tend to be, and I think abuses has become so commonplace, right? Not just physical abuse, but mental and emotional abuse has become so commonplace in our culture that we don't even know what it looks like no more. It's just a thing. It's just life now. And it's because we deal with everything from our hurt place, from our wounded place. So we need to get healed. We need to grow individually before we can begin to build something collectively with someone, right? Some of us have been married long enough that we've gone through that portion of our relationships and we've grown. There's been enough grace that we've grown. but we have to get to that place where we heal first, because now because it's just a byproduct of my hurt that I begin to manipulate you around my hurt. It becomes it's a different story when it becomes me actually using my hurt to force you to do things. But a lot of times we operate from our hurt place, and it becomes manipulation, which becomes abuse. So let's heal.
I like that. That's where you stop, because I started with work on bettering you. Work on yourself, and then you will it'll limit what you fall for. It'll limit the mess, the mediocrity that you allow in your space. Because when you're working on you, you're realizing what you will and won't accept. So now, when it comes to abuse, I am dealing like me. If I'm ever in a relationship, it's gonna be with a woman. So now I can't come to her like I'm talking to the fellas. I can't deal with her like that, because women are emotional creatures. I don't care how you twist it, y'all in the emotional realm more than men. That's just how you were made. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing, because it's a difference. That is something that men don't necessarily have all the time, unless they grew up around a bunch of women, or they had some whatever it is, that they are emotional creatures and always fall into their emotions. So now when I deal with you, when I talk to you, I can't rah you like I'm talking to the fellas. I got to learn that there's a softer side. And if that's mine, it's a softer side of me. So I have to deal with her differently. I have to come at her differently. I have to accept her responses differently, because she's talking how she speaks. Now I have to learn to listen how she speaks, and not just how I listen. So when it comes to abuse, working on self will allow you to not just help yourself, but it allow you to help others. It allow you to help your children, your spouse, your people that are you are around, because now you start to see the gaslighting, you start to see the manipulation, you start to see the tactics that where you want me to love you, but you trying to force me to, instead of allowing me to be me. So when you allow others to be themselves, then it's a certain freeing that's inside of them that says, man, I can be myself with him or her. So now I am in a comfortable space where I can talk about anything, and I can discuss my hurts. I can discuss my damages. I can discuss all these things, because I know that this person has a care and concern, not just about me doing what it is for them, but about me being myself around them and developing into who I am called to be with them.
I'm going to be very brief because I think we've spent a great deal of time talking about this over the past 4 weeks. Um, I really do believe that bad behavior begets bad behavior. A lot of the bad behavior that is actually being displayed is taught. A lot of the bad behavior that we see, if it's not taught, it's assumed because the absence of teaching in the home existed. So we have to get to the point to where number one, we understand better and we teach better. That's it. I love the fact that Brother Gaddy said education is a thing. I agree. We have to teach people, number one, who they are, who they were created to be. Once you have a clear identity, then it's very hard for another person to deceive you. And I have to hang my hat there because I believe that to be truth. And that's the thing that we always talk about in great deal. Understand who you are, understand who you were created to be, and understand the purpose for the purpose that you were created, and then pursue that. Right. When it comes to the space of love, have a good understanding of what love really and truly is, and spend the time that is necessary getting a clear cut understanding about what love is. When you don't understand what love is, you would literally use the idea of love and control another person to do what you want them to do. That is not good at all. I'm telling you, bad behavior begets bad behavior. So with that being said, again, thank you to everybody who was with us. We greatly appreciate you. Again, same time next week, same bat channel on the Hearts of Men podcast. For those of you who are available tomorrow morning at 10:30, we will be talking about boundaries. So by all means, jump in, get in the chat, add value like you guys always do, because again, that conversation is all about reframing the image of relationships. So that being said, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Have a phenomenal rest of your evening and have an even better weekend if we don't see you tomorrow, but we will see you next week, same time, same channel on the Hearts of Men podcast.